My M46 wife F43 is not sure whether she has ever had an orgasm. My M46 wife's F43 not sure what an orgasm is. I'm devastated at the moment. My chest is tightening, hands are shaking. I'm forcing myself to do deep breathing, might be having a panic attack. We had a great night last night, lots of fun, a fair bit of drinking. I wasn't too drunk, she was a bit more than me, but no one slurring, etc. After the kids went off to bed, we started getting down to it. As usual, I spent some time, about 10 to 15 minutes, trying to get her worked up with lots of kissing, giving and receiving oral etc. Usually when she's excited enough she'll indicate it's time for me to put it in, and although I don't have the best stamina for PIV, I'm not a 2-pump chump either, somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes, unless I try to make it a long session, by switching positions, or going back to oral etc. Last night, both being drunk, and the position feeling so good was a short session. We also use toys about half the time, and have an impressive variety, but didn't use any last night. She was clearly enjoying herself and was vocal, but I didn't notice the usual rapid trembles I feel, which I've always interpreted as an orgasm. So I asked her if she had an orgasm because it seemed maybe I came too quickly. She said she's not sure what an orgasm is. 20 years, almost, of sexual history has come crashing down on me. I tried to get her to clarify, and she described how in fictional stories she reads the women black out and all white out etc. Now I'm willing to accept that I may never have given her an earth-shattering orgasm despite my best efforts, but I was certain that I have given her multiple usual orgasms many times over the years. The natural loop she generated, the way her body sometimes became rigid before relaxing, her vagina and or muscles rapidly contracting all indicated to me as such. I really don't think she has the type of personality to fake all this for 20 years. I've been seeing a therapist for the last year because of my insecurities and she has been amazingly supportive. Our sex life has never been better, in terms of quality, and there has been an uptick in the quantity as well. In fact, I would say that lockdown has made us closer than ever before, which has led to greater emotional bonding, and we have just started exploring anal sex, taking it very slow, but at least we have started. This was something I've wanted to do for many years, and would bring up occasionally, but was denied until recently, so her statement of not being sure what an orgasm is came out of the blue. When I started asking more questions, and her being very mindful of my insecurities, she reassured me she enjoys having sex with me and always has a great time, and feels good. When needed she'll give me instructions in bed saying do this or that to enhance her own pleasure. I asked if she has had an orgasm when she has masturbated and she said she stops once she's had enough. Not a very clear answer, but I could see she was regretting saying what she did because of the effect it might have on me, so I stopped asking questions, as I don't want her to lie to me about things in the future. I'd rather know things so I can work on fixing them. But I feel like a failure, less of a man. I'm on the verge of tears. She's asleep right now, but when she wakes up I have to act all cheerful and hide all of this because I know if I react badly, seem depressed etc., she won't be as honest. Can someone have an orgasm and not recognize it? It's a very thin idea to be hanging my hopes, but I've got nothing else. Advise please. Too long didn't read. I thought I was a thoughtful and generous lover, but after sex my wife is not sure she's ever had an orgasm, and I'm devastated, but have to hide my emotions. I asked if she has had an orgasm when she has masturbated and she said she stops once she's had enough. Not a very clear answer. Yes, it is. It is completely in line with what she had said to you. Since she isn't sure what an orgasm is, she just experiences a lot of pleasure, and when she is tired of that she stops. She could have orgasms during that time, but she isn't sure, so unlike for a man where you make a big silly mess, she might only tremble a little and figure it is okay to go on. Your anxiety has made you interpret this entire most negative way possible. Being a thoughtful and generous lover would be about making sure she is enjoying things and taking this as an opportunity to focus more on her. Instead you've made it about yourself. Be aware of that and the reality that you are now also accusing her of lying. So you have great sex, she's more than happy, you're in your mid-40s, married and still exploring and having fun times. You're about to blow that all out of the water by finding her very real satisfaction less than enough. I have no idea if she's had an orgasm, but whatever she has is good for her, solo or with you. I guarantee that nothing kills the possibility of satisfaction more than focusing on orgasm. I was like your wife for years. I thought I may have had an orgasm but didn't really know. It took a lot of self-exploration for it to finally happen, and when it did, I knew. Like, immediately I realized that everything else I had interpreted as orgasm in the past was just build-up. I'm not saying every woman is the same, but knowing how difficult it is for many women to finish, I think it's possible to assume that she'll know when it happens. Keep trying, dude. Guys like you who genuinely care that much are few and far between. She's lucky to have you. Definitely everyone is different. And really the idea of a blackout orgasm sounds terrifying. I've had many in my time and never was black/white out. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but in all seriousness take her at her word. If she's into it, believe her. Maybe what she thinks it should feel like and what it does feel like are two totally different things. If she can't give herself that type of orgasm, how can someone else? Don't overanalyze this and make things hard for no reason. Keep being attentive and maybe see a therapist together. Agree. I was like, are we supposed to black out when we orgasm? Fearful face. Which erotica was she reading? Every woman is different and it sounds like she's having a good time. If she's happy, you should be happy. Am I, 25, in the wrong for telling my ex, 26, that dying doesn't excuse his actions? The title sounds bad, but hear me out. I think Ken and I broke up about 5 years ago. We had been together for 2 years. He proposed to me a month before we broke up. There were a lot of red flags that I ignored, but we broke up because I found out he'd been cheating on me for almost a year. When we broke up, he spread a lot of rumors about me, and so did the girl, who to my face was trying to be my best friend. He stalked me for a little while when I was going to work, and he'd ride by my house really slow. It was a huge clusterfuck and I honestly needed therapy for a while. The first man I ever dated, I was really young and he was much older than me. It's a long story itself, but I caught him cheating on me as well, and that stuck with me for a while. I guess what made it worse about Ken cheating was that he knew what I'd been through and always told me he'd never do that to me. Anyway, it was all years ago. I really am over it, but it did take a while. I'm married now. I have been for 2 years, and we have about today I fucked up a baby boy together. I'm really happy. I'm in a healthy, happy relationship with a man that treats me wonderfully. We have our own house together. Everything is just perfect. A couple days ago I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered because I always answer phone calls regardless of if I know the number or not. I said hello, he said hello, I asked who it was and he told me. Then I hung up. I didn't know why he was calling and didn't care. I don't have any interest at all in talking to him. Then yesterday I got another phone call from a different number. I almost didn't answer but did anyway. It was a mutual friend of ours that I met through Ken. I had a feeling of what was about to go down, but he begged me to hear Ken out and said I'd understand once I listened. I almost hung up again, but I didn't. This is the conversation. K, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I wanted to tell you that I'm sorry for how I treated you in the past. I got a terminal diagnosis and I may have a year or less to live, and I felt the need to make amends for what I did to you. I really didn't know what to say. I was quiet for a bit, but then told him that just because he's possibly dying, that doesn't excuse the shitty treatment he gave. I told him I was over it and moved on a long time ago, but I didn't have much else to say, and hung up. Now his whole fucking family is blowing my phone up telling me I'm a diabolical person who should just grant a dying man his wish, and that it doesn't affect me at all. Even if I'm not the bad person in this story, I'm not surprised they're saying anything to me. They all knew he was cheating on me and were even friends with the girl. When we broke up, they all acted like it was my fault and acted like they didn't know me at all, which was kinda awkward because we live in a small town and I can't avoid them. I guess I could have indulged him, but I don't think I should clear his conscience just because he might be dying. I don't know if I even believe him in the first place. This all sounds so much worse now that I've typed it all out, but I'll post anyway. So, am I in the wrong? ETA, I've gotten a couple people asking how I didn't know someone was cheating on me for a whole year. He was in it for the long con. TBH. We didn't live together brother and I didn't know his exact work schedule. It varied a lot. Whenever he was with me, he'd change his wallpaper on his phone to a picture of us and change her name in his phone to his godchild's mom's name. When he was with her, he'd change it to a picture of them and change my name instead. He was very private about our relationship on social media and said it was because he didn't want everyone to know our business, and that we'd both be judged because it was an interracial relationship. I didn't think anything of that because everyone in his personal life knew me. Well, almost his entire family and friends, that I was also friends with, knew her as well and were friends with her, so they hid it for him too. It finally came out when I begged him to let me post a picture of us on FB and she messaged me. He told her we broke up a year before but that we were still friends, supposedly. That's what she told me, but I don't believe her. There's a lot that doesn't add up that I won't get into. After we broke up, she tried to be friends with me and would blow my phone up daily, so I told her to get lost, and she was still the girl my ex cheated on me with, and she started spreading rumors about me as well. Again, clusterfuck. Just a little update. I've blocked about 10 numbers and have 20 plus unread texts, missed calls, voicemails, FB messages. The girl he cheated on me with even got in the mix of it and messaged me on FB. We aren't friends. It went to the message requests, saying some colorful things. I'm going to change my number tomorrow most likely, and I'll also try changing some FB settings to see if I can prevent future messages. Skeptical. TL, Dr. Cheating X from 5 years ago called me saying he's dying and is trying to make amends, asks me to forgive him. I refused and told him just BC he's dying doesn't excuse his behavior in the past. A dying man isn't suddenly a saint. You are not wrong. He should have been remorseful long before his diagnosis. You owe him nothing. It's not on you. His actions caused his consequences. Block all of them. It's the kindest thing you can do for them. They are in pain and losing someone they care for. There is nothing you can say to make any of this better, and you're not responsible for making it any better. The kindest thing you can do, and all you owe them now, is respectful silence. It's his job to make peace for himself, not your job to give him, or anyone else, any peace. Nah dude, not your job to excuse the inexcusable. And that's coming from somebody who has cheated in the past. Yes, I was a shitty person. Genuinely learning from being a horrible person includes understanding that forgiveness isn't earned or owed. It's granted or not. And him sicking his family on you just prove positive that you were right to deny him forgiveness, because clearly he learned nothing, and his amends were solely for his own benefit. Block the lot of them. Fuck 'em. If he was genuinely, unselfishly sorry, he'd have taken your response at face value, assured you that you didn't owe him anything, least of all forgiveness, and apologized for interrupting your day. He is not entitled to your forgiveness. Amends? Is he naming you beneficiary to his life insurance? Is he offering to call every single person he ever lied to about you and tell the truth? The definition of amends is not a verbally annoying apology. Block him, op. Enjoy your husband and your babies. The best revenge is living well. My 27F sister, 22F, is a NEET by choice, and I'm concerned about her. She cut me out of her life and now it's affecting my relationship with my parents and my emotions. My sister, 22F, graduated high school when she was 17. She now lives with my parents. I live with my boyfriend in another state. My parents are in their 50s. My sister is about to turn 23 in July of this year, and as every year passes, I grow more concerned for her well-being and for my family's well-being. My sister spends all her time in her room, and even pre-COVID, she would rarely go out to attend errands or go to restaurants with my parents. She has never had a job and does not have a driver's license. She has always been more on the introverted side, but was happy and active in high school with a group of friends and was involved in school sports. Now, her daily schedule is concerning as she stays up all night and sleeps during the day. At night, to pass the time, she watches Twitch, plays video games, makes digital art, and uses Twitter. I've recently found out from my grandmother that my mom is paying my sister for her help around the house with laundry, cooking, etc. As my mom works as an executive at a healthcare tech company, her schedule is demanding. My sister has never been diagnosed with a mental, developmental, or physical disorder. She is not impaired in any way emotionally, mentally, or physically. I'm aware people can have these disorders or challenges and still live a full life, but I wanted to clarify there are no glaring background details unexplained. My parents offered her to go to art school anywhere in the country she wants and pay for it in full. She has all the opportunities and financial assistance she could need but does not seem to be interested in it taking it. When I have brought this up to her or my mom or dad with concern, they have shut it down with denial or accusing me of being judgmental or harsh. My grandmother is concerned as well, and when she has brought it up to my parents, they have the same reaction. Because of this, we have dropped the issue. However, given the elephant in the room, I have grown uncomfortable and felt distant from my family. I feel like the dynamic is very uncomfortable, especially when I visit, as everyone notices that my parents treat her very differently than an adult her age and seem to tiptoe around her. She doesn't really call or talk to anyone who visits, even family. She prefers to take meals in her room and sneak out of situations to get out of socializing. When my grandpa had a stroke last year, I found out she didn't even call him after to check on him. My grandparents used to be upset as they would call her and she would never answer. Or they would travel across the country for Christmas and she would barely speak to them, but they have given up as well. After years of keeping in my concern for her, in May of last year, I opened up to her and let her know I was worried and that I wasn't judging her for being introverted, but that plenty of introverted people have a job or pursue education or lead a normal schedule. They can have passions and hobbies too. I let her know I love her and I was coming from a place of care because I wanted her to be fulfilled and take steps toward adulthood. She doesn't have to follow any prescribed path, but doing something like taking a class or getting her first job or even making friends could be good for her. I told her I would do anything to help, even offering our spare bedroom in our house to her for free in case she wanted to spend some time away from living in our parents' house for a bit. This was well received at first, but then later she stopped responding to my texts. I decided to give her space. Months went by and then July rolled around. I texted her happy birthday. She said thank you with some cute emojis. Called her and no response. I tried again a few weeks later and kept texting her. She ignored it. It was August when I told my mom she hadn't spoken to me since May and that I needed her to just tell me what was going on. My mom said she would have her answer me. My sister sent me a long text message saying that we're two different people and that I'm selfish and don't know how to give in a relationship. She said I just know how to take and I need to grow up. She said I was toxic and abusive and she needed to cut me out of her life to protect her mental health. She said maybe in the future when we both mature then we can be friends again. I was shocked as I've never heard her talk like this and it came out of nowhere. Freaked out and called my mom and she said she was really upset at this and that she would try to talk to her and that we would work it out as a family. She encouraged me to send my sister my love, so I took some time and sent her a very carefully worded message saying that was not my intention to upset her. I told her I loved her and would respect her need for space and give it to her. I said if she needed anything she could reach out to me. I have not spoken to my sister since August and we haven't been on great terms since our initial fight in May. It's beginning to affect my relationship with my parents, as when I speak to them I'm reminded of how they played into this dynamic by denying she might need help or assistance. Maybe she is depressed, maybe she went through a traumatic event, or maybe she is just lazy. Whatever the case, they have not admitted that something concerning is going on. They just act like this is her personality. I was not treated like this at all, and in fact my parents were much tougher on me. I will speak to my parents. I don't ignore them, but I know if the roles were reversed, they would be furious with me. But instead, my mom just periodically updates me to say she asked my sister if she would be open to talking to me and that my sister is still not at that point. My mom recently expressed she's sad because I've been distant. I'm exhausted with the family dynamic and just need a break from it all. Sorry for the long post. Too long, didn't read. My sister is an adult NEET, not seeking employment, education or training, by choice. I am worried, but her and my parents deny there is anything to be concerned about. I approached my sister with concern and she cut me out of her life and said I was toxic. I'm mad/sad about it and feel distant from my family as I need a break from the unhealthy dynamic.